And welcome back, folks, to another episode of Coach's Corner, brought to you by Simonson Lumber, Marvin Windows and Doors. I'm your host, Paul Vold, joining us here this week with a conversation about a weekend sweep for your Granite City Lumberjacks. Head coach DJ Vold. And Coach, as always, we appreciate the time for you joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Like I had mentioned there in the intro, a weekend sweep for the team, of course, beating rival Alexandria in a home-and-home matchup, also keeping pace with the Minnesota Moose in the process for that top spot in the West Division. Let's start off with the game on Friday. 6-1 victory, fast start for the team, and an ultimate 6-1 victory. Like I had mentioned there, just a fast start from the beginning. What do you see there as was a difference from maybe prior weekends for the team to ultimately get off to a good start in that contest on Friday?
Yeah, I think Alex came out and for the first shift or so was ready to go, and then from there we kind of just started playing. I think this group's kind of realized they need each other, and it's a lot easier when you have everybody on the same page versus only a handful of them. So you can see by the success, you play together, good things happen.
And of course, too, with the game kind of developing as it went, lead got out to a little bit further, then a little bit more. The physical play started to, rear its ugly head for sure. But responding to that physical play, too, is something that, this team, I would certainly say, has been able to, answer right back to the call and, obviously keep themselves in the proper situations with responding but not retaliating.
Yeah, we want them to stick up for each other and stick up for themselves, but we also want them to be smart about it. There's a right way to go about it and a wrong way, and when it comes to things like the physical play and defending yourself, you got to do it the right way so you don't hurt the team and put us down on the PK. But I think the physical play in that side of the game is something that gets us into the game and drags us into the fight. So it's something that we touch on every game early to get yourself involved physically, and then from there everything else kind of comes to you.
Of course, you take the contest from Friday night, a victory at home, then you hit the road, a 7-4 win at Alexandria 2. Even better, of course, with another, a little bit more of an even start than we saw on Friday, but ultimately getting out in front was probably a big emphasis on the road, too, against Alex.
Yeah, it helps when you've got Ty Smith on your team and he scores 4 goals. But aside from that, I thought it was a slower start. We weren't quite on our P's and Q's to start the game, and we kind of reeled it in, and then it got a little ugly at the end. But two teams that have a lot of pride in what they do and the work they put in, and it's been a long year, so this time of year that you normally get a little bit of that, and that's something we're okay with. But yeah, happy with how we performed and how we finished the game for sure.
Of course, taking advantage of too this time of year where you start to dial everything in, special teams, you cannot give another team an opportunity, and when you have that opportunity, you have to strike, and the power play especially came through in multiple different ways in that game on Saturday also.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's something we've been fortunate to have a kind of group of 5-6 guys that have kind of intermingled and just kind of click. When you have that and you can punish teams for putting you on the power play, you got a good chance to win, and it's even more important this time of year and going into playoffs and hopefully down to St. Louis.
Of course, with that, you had mentioned too, Ty Smith putting in 4 goals. Now the single season record holder for goals in a season for the Granite City Lumberjacks. Of course, other records still out there for him to grab here as we near the end of the regular season. But we've mentioned it a few different times here on this program, just the growth of the player too, but ultimately seeing that him being a representation of this team. And I'm sure, of course, the numbers that have filled out too has been really nice to see in such a short turnaround for him being only in his second full season.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think it's what you get when he comes in. He's willing to learn and is a good player before he gets here too. But what he's doing this year is not something that's easy to do in this division. And it's not easy to do playing here as well, because we ask a lot of things of them away from offense. We ask them to be good teammates. We ask them to play good defense, and he does all of that and sets a single season scoring record for goals. So it's been fun to watch. It's fun to watch the guys get excited for him as well, because they know they're a part of it. And Ty's the first one to tell you can't do it without your teammates and them getting you the puck and them being in the right spots. So it's kind of, I think our guys look at it as a team record versus an individual record, or at least I hope they do, because that's how I look at it.
And of course, too, Ty, among a few other players that have actually made a quick trip just over towards Michigan for the top prospects tournament for the NA3HL. Has to be really nice to see, especially a couple of the players that have been kind of key factors the last season plus here, to get at least a little bit of recognition when it comes to at least getting an entire league focus at that top prospects tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to reward the guys who have earned it. I think we've got a bunch of guys in there that could fit in out there no problem, and these were the guys that were selected. Obviously, we're happy for them, happy they get to go out and have a little fun. We'll just make sure they're ready to do the work when they get back.
Absolutely, and that includes a matchup here, a home matchup this weekend against the Wilderness, Friday and Saturday as well. Another week of practice here for the team. What do you see coming off a successful weekend to carry that into another week of preparation?
Yeah, we had a little fun today. Kind of rewarded them for the work they did over the weekend. So we played some games, had a high school kid in to skate, and obviously numbers are low with guys in Michigan. So we had a pretty light day today, and then we'll get back to work tomorrow and work on some skills and some competing. But I like where we're at, and sometimes the coaches just need to stay out of the way and let them play, and that's kind of where we're at.
Head coach DJ Vold joins us here this week on Coach's Corner. Again, your Lumberjacks back at home for 2 contests against the Wilderness. Friday and Saturday will be 7:30 p.m. puck drops. Be sure to stay up to date with our full conversation and much more with our score schedules and broadcast times by going to na3hl.com. Coach's Corner brought to you by Simonson Lumber, Marvin Windows and Doors. We'll step aside here for a quick break. More at the show right after this.
Discover complete customization. Endless possibilities. Full design flexibility. Marvin Ultimate. Windows and doors custom crafted for your vision.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner, brought to you by Simonson Lumber, Marvin Windows and Doors. I'm your host, Paul Vold. Of course, we get back to our players segment this week. We've got another one of the new guys that's been here for the last few weeks. We got number 12, Jonathan Hicks, joining us here. Hicksy, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. And of course, at this point of the season, we like to get to know, of course, some of the guys that have kind of made their way here to the squad too. You come a little bit later here in the season. What drew you to come to Granite City here, and how's it been so far?
Having the time of my life. I'm loving it. It's awesome to be playing hockey again. I was hurt for first part of the year, and then ended up out here. My brother played here, so I've kind of had contact with the coaches and ownership and all that. So it's been a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely, and we appreciate you joining the squad as well. Another great weekend that it was here for the team. Weekend sweep against the rival in Alexandria. Starting off the game on Friday, 6-1 victory. Just looked like a completely different team right from the very get-go. Seemed like the team was rolling from the start there. What did you guys really see there, for at least from maybe your perspective, that the team was just getting off to a good start as usual?
Yeah, it was exciting. Obviously, coming into that one, they've been playing well, and they've been on kind of a hot streak. So that was a big game for us, and score first in that one, score early, and then kind of just keep it rolling through the rest of the game. So that was definitely a good win for us.
Absolutely, too. And of course, maybe towards as the game started to get maybe a little bit out of reach from Alexandria, maybe a little bit more physicality that we typically see here in the West Division too. How'd you feel about you and your teammates really responding to that physicality in that matchup?
It was good. It was, kind of got into a couple scruffs. I know Tierno got a couple penalties where he was taking care of the guys, but obviously that's what you want from your leadership. So. Especially with the Saturday game coming up the next day, that was big for us to kind of impose our will a little bit physically.
Of course, talk about that with the game on Saturday, a complete performance from the game Friday going into Saturday too. Much more a little bit of an even start. Looked like Alexandria came to play there at least for the first good chunk as well. But getting the scoring early, I'm sure was really paramount to at least get things moving in the right direction for the team.
Yeah, for sure, especially on the road. That's a bit of a hostile environment to play in, but it's always a fun game. They get a good crowd. Go into the locker room up 3-1. That was good for us to kind of get rolling in that game.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, in that contest too, special teams was very, very prominent. Power play got a few goals there to widen that lead a little bit, but also too in that game as a whole, just seeing a lot more play cohesively from the whole team too that we've seen has got to be really nice here at this point of the season too.
Yep. Definitely feels like we're clicking right now, especially offensively. I know, we've been scoring obviously the 7 on Saturday, 6 on Friday, and then a lot last weekend against Wilmer, but we've been clicking offensively, so that's definitely helping.
Number 12, Jonathan Hicks joins us here this week, of course, on Coach's Corner. Another week of games coming up here this weekend, I should say, against the Wilderness too. We got Friday, Saturday, another week of practice. What do you see here? Maybe just a few things to keep things going here in the right direction for the team to focus on.
Yeah, we've had a good week of practice. We've got a decent chunk of guys out at the top prospects, but we've had a good week, and we're definitely excited. We got 2 at home this week, so that'll be nice. Be back in front of our fans and it's an exciting time of year.
Absolutely. Here, of course, we now get through the tough stuff. Of course, your Lumberjacks back in action Friday, Saturday against the Minnesota Wilderness will be, of course, 7:30 p.m. puck drops from Miller Buick GMC Arena. You can check it all out and much more by listening to the broadcast and watching NATV, as well as on our social media platforms, and also stay up to date with scores, schedules, and broadcast times. Ready for some rapid fire questions?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's do this. Pre-game routine. What gets you going there for a game day? Does it start right away in the morning, right before you get to the rink? What gets you going there for that right mindset?
Usually I sleep in. It's kind of nice not having to get up early, and then we'll go to crunch usually, and just kind of like bike, stretch, roll out, that kind of thing. Get home around 2, 3, and then I'm living with Garrett Plod, so kind of just kill time. You know, recently been watching the Olympics, obviously.
Of course.
But then, yeah, if we're at home, you know, get dressed, get to the rink. Obviously, if you're on the road, you're at the rink a little earlier, but keep it pretty simple.
All right, and pre-game meal-wise, what do you keep it light on game day? What's kind of the go-to pre-game meal for you?
Usually leftovers. My billet cooks pretty well, so usually go back to whatever he's been cooking, but kind of varies too, obviously, if we're on the road or if we're at home too. But I don't really have I don't really have a staple that I always go to. So.
I like that. Favorite away rink that you've played at here with Granite City?
Probably Alex. Okay. I haven't played in Moose, or I think that's the only one I haven't played in yet. But okay. Alex was a good time. It was a good.
All right. Through your years playing hockey, what's been your favorite jersey that you've worn? Maybe just from look, aesthetic. What's been your favorite one that you've put on?
Senior year at Maple Grove when we played in Hockey Day, for sure.
All right. Get to know you a little bit personal. Favorite meme that always gets you to crack up?
I like the little baby. The little baby that's just kind of looking at the screen weird.
Yep, I like that. That's a good one, too. Who on the team here do you think is the biggest prankster on the whole squad?
Probably Manny.
Okay. Yeah. Manny's, a bit of a prankster. Who on the team here that you maybe have seen has got maybe some weird food habits, is just putting ketchup and all sorts of condiments on all sorts of food? Who's got the best and worst food habits on the team?
Starch takes care of his body pretty well. I'd say he's the best. And then the guy he's living with, actually, Howie's probably the worst.
Okay.
I've heard some strange things he does, like for breakfast before practice, so he's got some odd ones.
You know, Howie's been a very popular request here in the last few weeks for sure. Who on the team do you think has the best and worst car? Just maybe has some very interesting choices for their ride.
Best car, Vinny.
Okay.
And worst car, maybe Engie.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Mitsubishi. I don't really like Engies.
All right, I like that. Who on the team do you think has the best and worst style out of the whole squad?
I think me and Garrett probably have the best style.
Okay.
I think that's probably the
I like the confidence.
Standard answer here. I think worst style, Pricey's not great.
Okay.
Bielenberg isn't great. That's probably those two. Yeah.
On and off the ice, Howie is catching L's for his style. Apparently, we had him last week off camera. Who on the team is probably the biggest chirper, just is nonstop when he gets on the bench to maybe off the ice?
Razor.
Razor's
pretty loud.
Okay. Bonus question as well. Of course, bonus question here. You talked about watching Olympic coverage. Which Olympic sport do you think that you could play, minus hockey, that you think you could probably would want to give a try?
Honestly, none of them, but I would try like bobsled.
Bobsled?
I feel like bobsled will be fun. Like just cruising around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, time.
Number 12, Jonathan Hicks joins us here this week with your Granite City Lumberjacks here on Coach's Corner, brought to you by Simonson Lumber, Marvin Windows and Doors. Again, your Lumberjacks back in action this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday at home against the Minnesota Wilderness. 7:30 puck drops for both nights. Again, you can watch the games on NATV while also checking us out on all of our social media platforms. This is Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Paul Vold. We'll check in with you all next week.